Hey there, good day everybody. This is Tentakulon speaking, as you might know me from the Something Awful forums or the Zoofights forums. For everybody who doesn't know what Zoofights is, I pity your soul, and why don't you bring some joy into your dire existence and click on the link below and find out about it. It's a funny thing, great thing. So this video is about how I make my artworks, and I recorded the process of painting the portraits of the Horsemen chef and Krilldozer, and speeded them up, how do you say that in English, in order to make this some kind of speed painting video, as we all love to see them on YouTube. And I thought I'd use the opportunity to ramble along while I watch it back myself, and maybe give you guys some ideas or tips on what's possible. So I want to say, first of all, I'm not the greatest painter in the world, and I'm still learning, just as every artist probably is. Alright, but let's waste no more time. I'm gonna hit the play button on the lobster video, on the Krilldozer video, and here we go. So I start out with a basic outline, which I just draw in with a black pen, usually on a transparent layer of a grey background. And this phase is all about the by and large shape of the thing I'm drawing. So Krilldozer is a very massive, machine-ish creature. It's mainly machine, the only living part is the tiny little lobster in that window over there. So it was important, in order to portray him accurately, to give him a really imposing, menacing, dark and machine-like appeal. So since I suck at painting machines, I went the easy way here and just stole a picture of a tank. I think that's absolutely okay if you need to get something done and mainly need to convey a certain emotion or effect and don't want to prove yourself as the world's best painter. Just go ahead and steal shit, nobody cares. Alright, that's this. Next phase is to block in some basic colors. I tried to shape these color blobs with a polygon lasso to make it more machine-like and more hard-edged. I think I'm going to drop that in about a minute in the video because it's too tedious. These basic grey color layers are of course one for the body and another one for the pincers. So I can treat them separately and can paint behind the pincers, you know, to make a coherent structure on the body. Okay, next phase is, as you can see, I clip masked a new layer over the body layer. Now I'm just using a standard old brush with a pen tablet, of course, graphic tablet, and flow and brush size set to the pen pressure. Flow is an interesting thing. If you have a low flow value like these 12 up there, right in the middle of the screen on the top, that means the less you press down the pen, the thinner the paint looks, so the paint that you're painting over shines through a little bit, and that makes for easy and convenient gradient painting. I hardly ever use automatic gradients with the paint bucket tool for surfaces, for hard surfaces, because it just looks unrealistic. I rather paint a bright spot and then a dark spot, or a dark spot over a bright area, and then use the color picker. The shortcut is the I key, to pick a color from the middle and then paint on with that. You can see that in pretty much every speed painting video ever. It's a very, very convenient and easy technique. You can actually see, if you watch the toolbar, how it's constantly switching back and forth between brush and color picker, and also that primary and secondary color are changed pretty often. I usually have a bright one on the secondary or primary and a dark color, dark gray, on the other one. X is another nice key that you will love to use in painting digitally in Photoshop, as it switches primary and secondary color. Oh yeah, word about the equipment. I'm using a tiny little Wacom bamboo tablet. It's like postcard size. The smallest one is way good enough, big enough. Photoshop CS5 and a reasonably powerful, not very expensive standard desktop computer. Yeah, all these pipes and armor plates and all that stuff that makes up the structure of the lobster tank. That's all stuff I come up with as I paint along. I didn't think much about that. The only image I had in my mind when I started off with this painting was what the lobster would have to look like. That you would have to look up to him, because he's really fucking big, weighs 10 tons or something. And he sort of blocks out the sun or the light that comes from behind with his giant pincers. So this effect, and of course the idea to make him look really, really lobster-like, was pretty much all I had in mind. The rest came as I painted along. As you can see here, this belly part, so to say, is constantly changing. Starting something, then I get an idea by the look of it and change it a little bit, like that. This way of painting, where you start out with a really simple form and then largely use big brushes and simple shading, lends itself to painting as you go along. That's a thing that you should keep in mind if you want to learn to paint in that way. I'm just learning right now. You don't want to go overboard with details before it's time for the details. So as you can see here, I'm really just blocking in basic brightness values with a direction of light that I imagined roughly, really nothing precise. First order right now is to establish a certain set of detail in black and white. There's another way of painting digitally in a similar manner, where you start out with color, and I simply don't have much experience with that. I'd love to learn it, maybe in another video. But in this one, with this technique, it's about getting the picture as done as possible in black and white, and then using color layers and layers that you would set to overlay and color dodge and color burn to color the finished painting. That there, this little light reflection on the window pane, that's an occasion where you can use an artificial gradient. For example, one of the few examples. And here I just decided to make a new front plate for the tank, so that military people wouldn't point, you stole a tank, I know that type of tank, you're lazy, and just to give it an individual touch. Okay, this is the next step actually. As you can see here, I just loaded a random old dirt and concrete texture that looks a bit moldy and a bit natural, and I put that over a certain body part, like each pincer gets one, the body gets one, and I tweak it into a fitting shape and set it to overlay, and then bounce all these layers down to one. Next step was to enhance the shadows a little bit with the dodge tool, burn tool I mean, and then I just duplicated the entire lobster part of the tank, put it over itself and set the topmost one to overlay. This gives you a nice boost and contrast, and you can then go and erase parts of the upper one to have the lighter original shine through. Next step is to use some dodge tool to bring out the highlights, and now I'm mushing together some background here. This smoke is something that you can see in pretty much all of my Zoofights paintings. And now I'm on the lookout for a background image. There we are. Really just an old photograph, and make sure to blur backgrounds if you want to achieve some sense of depth. That helps a lot. So now we're pretty much done with the black and white stuff. One more texture for the tank. Some more dodging for more contrast and more metal look. Yeah, and then I realized I should give him some lights, some aggressive, blinding front lights to make him look more machinish, more like a submarine maybe, and make him more threatening in a way. I think if that thing rolls up to you, looks bad enough in and on itself, but with some blinding lights on the front, probably even worse. of course, when I paint one of these portraits for a Zoofights fight, I have to keep in mind what the other fighter will look like. And as I mentioned in the beginning, the lobster is this cold-blooded machine-like thing, and his opponent, the Osmium Chef, is really hot-blooded and fast and furious and very temperamental. So I try to complement these elements, these characters. But more on that in the video about the Horsemen chef. Yeah, here you can see me try to paint some fire and find out that I suck at painting fire, so I just load a photo of fire and set it to screen and put it in there. And now I can take the colors from the fire and use them on a color layer and on a color dodge layer to make the brightest parts of the lobster in that direction shine out. And this is another nice technique to achieve some degree of realism and detail. To take a hard little brush and the color of the light source that you want to use, and just paint lines on the edges that face the fire, in that case, the light source. It looks really cool if you've got a cold light source, let's say a blue or greenish blue one, and a warm one, say orange, on each opposing side of an object. You can see that in pretty much every fantasy illustration ever. Adds some nice contrast and atmosphere. And yeah, that's another thing. What you achieve with cold versus warm color sources. That's something you can observe in nature in every light situation, pretty much everyone. You will have direct light and indirect reflected light, and reflected indirect light is always cooler looking. And if you take natural physical phenomena like that and just exaggerate them, that's how you achieve realism in painting. If you just paint reality, it will look dull. You have to stretch it a bit. Okay, there we are. That was Krilldozer. I hope it wasn't too disappointing and maybe learned a thing or were inspired, or if you think I suck at painting lobster tanks, tell me so in the comments. See you guys.